Welcome to the first lecture of Unit 2 of Subject Electronics Devices KEC 301. The second unit is band diagram, and we will study different structure based on this band diagram, classification of material band based on this band diagram. Then we will be doing the concentration study about the concentration of charge carrier and the mathematical calculation of those charge carriers. So what is an energy bands in a solid? So energy band is a range of energy, and that range of energy is called as the band of the energies. So if we have an isolated atom, then that isolated atom experience only one force, that is due to its nucleus. It does not experience any other force because there is no other atom in its nearby, so it will experience only one force, that is due to its nucleus. So if this is shell number 1 and there is one electron, in shell number 2 there is another electron, so these two electrons will experience a force, that is the binding force, that is due to the nucleus of this isolated atom. So the isolated atom has an energy band diagram like this. This is the distance of that isolated atom. So if there is no nearby atoms, and that's why there is no distance is written here, because here only one atom is there. On y-axis we have energy levels. So if it is an isolated atom, so there will be discrete energy levels for this isolated atom, because it has discrete energy levels in which the electrons revolve around the nucleus of this atom. The electron stays in the particular energy level that are surrounding this nucleus. So what happens if there is a nearby atom to this isolated atom? So if here we have an atom and the interatomic distance between these two is reduced such that these atoms can interact with each other, then what will happen if this atom has an electron and this is having another electron? Then if a covalent bond formation is done between these two atoms, then now there will be two nucleus, and that will be applying force on the electron that is being shared. So if we have these two atoms placed at such a distance that there is sharing of electrons, and these electrons are forming covalent bond, so when it happens, then we cannot identify that which electron is from which atom. We have two atoms, so now we cannot identify that electron number 1 or electron number 2 is from which atom, because all the electrons are same and existing in the same energy level. So they have interacted due to the reduction in interatomic distance of these two atoms. So what will happen after this interaction? If this type of interaction happens, then if I take this electron number 1, then it will be experiencing force from its original atom and one force from its nearby atom. So if I consider that this is the energy band diagram of the atom number A, and it has an interaction with the atom B, then initially the electrons present in the outermost shell of atom maybe have some energy level 5, 4, 3 depending upon the number of shells in this atom. But now if there is an interaction between these two, then what will happen? This electron 1 will experience a force from the nucleus of A and from the nucleus of B. In the similar way, the electron that is at position 2 will also experience different forces from the nucleus of A and nucleus of B. So when there is reduction in interatomic distance between the two atoms, then the interaction between them can form a covalent bond, and the interaction of these two atoms makes the force different that was being experienced by the atoms when they were not in interaction with any other atom. So now these electrons will experience a different force. So for the formation of solid, this type of interaction is required. Like if we take an example of bricks and we want to make wall using that brick. So if we consider the brick as an atom and wall as a solid structure. So if I want to make a solid structure using the bricks, then I need to place those bricks near to each other such that they can be placed in close proximity with each other and can be used in a connected manner so that a solid wall can be formed. In the similar way, if we want to have a solid, then we have such interactions, and these interactions will form the covalent bond, and the formation of covalent bond will make a solid. So if we want to make a solid material, then we need to have the reduction in the interatomic distance between the nearby atoms. So in this way these four atoms are interacting, and there will be a three-dimensional structure, vertical and horizontal also, and in 3D. So in that way we will get a solid when the different isolated atom interact with each other, then a formation of solid is there. So this is an example of an isolated silicon atom. Plus 14. 14 is the atomic number of the silicon, and it has 3 shells. In the innermost shell it has 2 electrons, then it has 6 electrons, then at the outermost shell it has 4 electrons. So 2, 8 and 4 will make out to be 14. So division will be 1s2 and this 8 electrons and then 4 electrons. So in the outermost shell it has 4 electron, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these 4 electrons are the 4 valence electron of the silicon atom. As we know that silicon is a group 4 element, so it has 4 valency. So if we want to make a solid using this silicon, then we need to provide some atoms near to this silicon atom in such a close proximity that its valence atom can interact with its nearby atom so that it can get a complete octet to obtain the stability in its atomic structure. So if we have several nearby silicon atom placed to this, and they will be forming covalent bond with this. So if I have an silicon atom here, then it will have interaction with this, then we have another silicon atom, then we can have here like this. So these 4 will be forming 4 covalent bond with its nearby silicon atom to complete the octet of this silicon atom. So in the solids, the atoms are arranged in a systematic space lattice, and each atom is influenced by neighboring atom. The closeness of atoms results in the intermixing of the electrons of neighboring atom. So here the different atoms are placed, and if we place the atom in this structure, then we can have the formation of solid. So this I was telling that if this is one atom, this is another atom, third atom. So this resembles with the example of that wall and brick. Like I have placed 5 bricks, and below that I have placed another layer of bricks, and by placing different layers of bricks we can form a solid wall. In the similar way, if we have number of atoms, so that they could be placed in that close proximity, that they can form a solid structure. So coming to that, what is the energy band that we were discussing about? So energy band is the band of energies from where this energy band is coming. Like we have seen that an isolated atom have discrete energy level depending upon the presence of the electron in a particular shell. So we may have different energy level that have discrete values. Energy level 1 will be different from 2, and the similar way we can have different energy levels because the electron present in the shells experience only one force, that is due to the nucleus of the same atom. So when there is interaction in between the nearby atoms, then the energy that was initially being occupied by the isolated atom is now changed. So taking an example of silicon, silicon is a semiconductor, so its atomic number 14, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p2. So first shell has 2 electron, the second has 8 electron, in the third we have 4 electron. So here there is 4 filled state, we have 4 filled state plus 4 states are empty. So 4 states are filled, but the 4 states are empty in this. So it requires 4 extra electrons to complete its octet. So if we take a structure of solid where we need n number of such atoms that can be placed together to form a solid structure. So let's say if we have 2n atoms there, then what will be there? There will be 4n filled state and 4n empty states will be there for the n number of such atoms. Those are having 4 valency. So this type of band diagram we get after the interaction of different atoms with each other. So from where this diagram we are getting, this is the first energy state without when there is a large interatomic space. If I say that here the interatomic distance is large, so up to the large interatomic space there will be a single energy state. This is written as L is equal to 0 and L is equal to 1. So 2n electrons and 2n state in one that level. So 2n electrons and 6n states, means here we have 6n states, and the total of that 4n states are filled and 4n states are empty. So when there is an interaction between the nearby atoms, then that one energy level that was fixed before the interaction now gets is splitted into a band of energy because an electron experiences different force by its nearby atoms. So these are the different energy level that an electron experience due to its nearby atom. So in that way this single band diagram gets splitted into different energy levels. So this energy band gap, that is represented by Eg, is called the energy band gap, and the states that are completely filled here are termed as valence band, and the states which are completely empty, zero electrons are there, so those states are named as the conduction band. So in this way a band diagram is created from a single energy level to a energy band. So the band formation can be described in a way that we have initially for the large interatomic spacing, we have a single band that is discrete energy levels, and when the distance, interatomic distance, is reducing, this single energy state gets distributed due to the different forces acting on a single atom by its nearby atom, which are forming covalent bond with the center atom. So what is valence band? The band of energy level which are closer to the nucleus, and electron in the valence band experiences strong force of attraction from nucleus, and it can move freely when external electric field is applied, and it is called the bounded electron. An electron in that is called the valence electron. Conduction band is the band of energy level which are far away from the nucleus, and the conduction band is the band of orbitals that are high in energy and are generally empty, and the electrons present in the conduction band contribute for the conduction of current in any material. An electron in conduction band has a weak influence of the nucleus, and hence it can move free under the effect of applied electric field, and thus it produces current, and it is called a free electron. Forbidden energy gap. The energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band where no electron can exist is called the forbidden band or the forbidden energy gap. It generally refers to the energy difference in the electron volts between the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band in insulators and semiconductors. So it is the energy gap between the valence band and conduction band, and the value of this energy gap is different for different materials. So how we can classify the material based upon this energy band diagram? In unit 1 we have discussed the classification of material based on its conductivity and resistivity. So from here we can conclude that we can classify material based on one more parameter, that is the energy band of the material. So how we can classify the materials based on this energy band gap? By seeing its energy band gap, because an insulator, conductor and semiconductor have different energy band gap or forbidden energy level between the valence band and conduction band. For an insulator, the energy band gap, that is the forbidden energy band gap, is very large, that is more than 3 electron volts, and it is around 5 to 6 electron volts. no electron is available for the conduction into the conduction band. Large amount of energy is needed to move an electron from valence band to conduction band. Example of insulator are glass, diamond, silicon dioxide. So why these are behaving as insulator? Because there is large energy gap between the fully filled that valence band and the completely empty conduction band. So as I told you that the electrons present in conduction band are responsible for the conduction of current into the material. So if we want to make a transition of electron from valence band to conduction band, so we need to provide a sufficient amount of energy that can be more than this forbidden energy gap, so that the electron can cross this gap and can reach to the conduction band and can cause the conduction. Into the conductor, there is no forbidden energy gap. Conduction band overlaps the valence band. The electron from the valence band freely enter into the conduction band due to the overlapping of bands. Because there is no energy gap between valence band and conduction band, so electron can easily move from valence band to conduction band. Therefore, a very low potential difference can cause continuous flow of current into the conductors. So best conducting materials are silver, and after that we have copper as a best conducting material available. What happens in case of semiconductors? For the semiconductor, the energy band gap lies between that of the conductor and insulator. It is around 1.1 electron volts for silicon and 0.7 electron volts for the germanium. So although it is not very high, but this much of band gap is there, so an electron in the valence band itself cannot cross this band and can reach to conduction band. If we want the movement of valence band electron to the conduction band, then we need to provide some external energy to the electron that is present into the valence band. So that could be done by thermal excitation of electron from the valence band. So at 0 Kelvin, the conduction band is completely empty and the valence band is completely filled for an semiconductor. When a small amount of energy is supplied, the electron can easily jump the forbidden energy gap and it can reach to the conduction band, and it will become now the free electron that will cause the conduction of current. So the conductivity of semiconductor is of the order of 10 to the power 2 mho per meter. And one important thing with this semiconductor is that its conductivity increases as the temperature is increasing. Why the conductivity is increasing? As I told you that when we increase the temperature, the electron from the valence band gain sufficient energy and they can reach to the conduction band by gaining the thermal energy from the valence band. So as we increase the temperature or provide the external energy, the electron move from valence band to conduction band and cause the conduction. So this is this semiconductor that has a properties that it is an insulated at 0 Kelvin, and as we go on increasing the temperature, its resistivity decreases because the electrons are reaching to the conduction band and conductivity is increasing, and resistivity is inversely proportional to the conductivity. So conductivity increases and resistivity decreases. So as we increase the temperature, then the semiconductor that was behaving as an insulator at 0 Kelvin start behaving as a conductor. So this is the advantage with the semiconductor, that we can control its conductivity. That is not possible with the insulator and conductor. In insulator we have zero current flowing even after applying external bias, because the energy gap is so large that it is very difficult to cross the valence band, across the forbidden energy gap, and to reach to the conduction band. Similarly, in case of conductors, we do not have any limitation over the conduction, because valence band and conduction band are overlapping to each other. So there is a continuous conduction at very low temperature. But with the semiconductor we have this advantage, that we can control the conduction and we can control the flow of current by applying the external forces to the electrons that are present into the valence band. So the semiconductors can be classified as intrinsic semiconductor and as an extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor is the pure semiconductor, and extrinsic semiconductor is the semiconductor that we form by adding some impurity to the intrinsic semiconductor. The further classification of intrinsic semiconductor can be done as N-type semiconductor and a P-type semiconductor, depending upon the type of impurity that we have added to the intrinsic semiconductor. So the process of adding impurity is called the doping. So first we will see that what is an intrinsic semiconductor. This is a silicon atom, and these 4 electrons are representing the valence electrons of the outer shell. So if we want to form a lattice structure, we want to make a solid of this silicon, then we need to have different silicon atoms placed in its near proximity, so that these electron can form covalent bond with its nearby atoms. So if we place the silicon atom in this manner, then it will form a lattice structure. So here these 2 electrons are forming a covalent bond. Here these 2 are forming covalent bond. So all the sharing electrons are forming covalent bond. So in this way you can see the center silicon atom has its complete octet. In the similar manner, there will be interacting atom in the near neighborhood, and this will also get a complete octet. And if that process keeps on for a duration, then we will have a solid formation. So in that way we have this band formation. In between every silicon atom we have a band formation, and this double line is showing the band formation between the neighboring silicon atoms. So when this type of solid structure is formed with the same kind of atoms, it is called an intrinsic semiconductor. Here you can see only silicon atoms are present in the complete structure. No other atom is there other than the silicon atom. So this type of structure is called a intrinsic semiconductor. In intrinsic semiconductor, all the octets are complete, the bond have been formed, so the valence band is completely filled and there is no free electron available, means there is no electron present into the conduction band and the valence band is completely filled. So as I told you that if we want to make it conductor intrinsic, material to a conducting material, then we need to provide some energy, thermal energy, so that the electron gain energy from valence band and can reach to the conduction band. So this is just a pictorial representation of providing the energy. At 0 Kelvin there is no free electron, but when the temperature increases, the electron gains energy into the valence band and reaches to the conduction band and starts conducting.